Hi, everyone. It's a continuation of 2020. I think this year has been hard on all of us, and on one of the kind of hardest days in the trans community, we just can't seem to catch a break. There's been some technical difficulties, and I'm so thankful to all of y'all who are hanging in there in the chat. My name's Ian. I'm the trans navigator at Southwest Center, and I was asked to co-chair TDOR this year. And I didn't think at the time that I was the best fit for this position. And when I was asked to be chair, I didn't think I was the best person because TDOR is not really for trans folks like me. I'm white, I'm masked, I'm cis assumed. So when this day came around and I was kind of tagged in, I thought really hard and I kind of stepped up because I had the privilege to do so. So while we're working on getting the video uploaded, and maybe we'll launch it another time, let's just have a conversation about what it means to be trans in the United States today and what it means to be trans abroad. If all of y'all have any questions, especially those of you in the audience at home, can you please drop them in the chat? Oh, there's a comment already. So incredibly hard to believe the society. So incredibly hard to believe that this society still finds way to torture and kill the innocent. All life is precious. I won't say your name because I don't know if that's your dead name or not, but thank you for realizing our humanity. And it looks like, I think Kendra's joining us, judging by the KT. Kendra, are you with us?
Yes.
I think this is just an extension of 2020, isn't it?
I wholeheartedly agree.
So, for those of you who don't know at home, Kendra is the president of Trans Spectrum Arizona. She is also an amazing drag queen and one of my close friends. Kendra tapped me in to be co-chair because she has been leading Trans Day of Remembrance for how many years, Kendra?
This will be year 5.
I think you need a break.
Yeah.
Like a vacation with some martinis, maybe. For the past 5 years, what kind of changes have you noticed over TDOR? Like, has it gone year to year?
So we started the event as we took it over at we were doing the live event at the Capitol.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a candlelight vigil. We had our organization and maybe 1 or 2 others there. Over the last few years, it's gone to just about every organization here in the Valley that's LGBT friendly. And as of our virtual meeting today, I think we tapped every LGBT organization in the Valley.
Every LGBT organization. So, like, I know Southwest Center, Trans Spectrum Arizona. Can you name a couple of others? I know we had a lot of partner organizations this year.
Phoenix Pride, TQP, which is Trans Queer Pueblo, Planned Parenthood. I'm getting a weird feedback. I'm drawing a blank, Ian. I can't hear you, honey. I lost Ian's sound.
There we go. I think I'm back on. Can you all hear me now?
Yeah.
So we have Southwest Center, Trans Spectrum Arizona, Equality Arizona. I think I see Alexis there. Hi, Alexis. Can you introduce yourself real quick?
Yes. So, hi everyone. My name is Alexis Wong. I am the communications coordinator with Equality Arizona. Happy to be on this call and see everyone commenting. It's nice to have a community within our community team.
Alexis was responsible for a lot of the social media promotion and getting the events together. So thank you, Alexis. So we have Equality Arizona, Terrace Health with Rodney. I hope he's doing well. His husband put together the intro of the video that will get up here at one moment or another. I think at 2020, we can all give ourselves a break. Did I miss anyone? Alexis, can you think of anyone?
Did you
I
say
guess
Big
I
Brothers and Big
flyer up.
Sisters?
I'm having a little trouble hearing you. Can you speak closer to the mic?
Sorry, Big Brothers and Big Sisters.
Yes. Eva, how could I forget Eva Seiler from Big Brothers Big Sisters, who put together an LGBT mentorship program that includes trans kids. I don't know. The Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, of course. I must have mentioned them when there was a sound issue. But anyway, back to the topic at hand while we're waiting for some of the video. We're checking in with our tech person. They're still working on it. While we're in this intermission, let's look for some of the questions in the comments about how and about why we celebrate T-Door, why we're here together. Kendra, are you frozen or still there?
I'm still here. I'm sorry. I was looking at the flyer.
Oh, okay. That was actually a smart thing to do. Instead of relying on memory, because I am a faulty meat sack of a human. So for T-Door, over the past 5 years, you've noticed that more organizations have joined in, which is really great for visibility. It seems like a lot of people really care more about trans persons recently. But
as a whole, yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
But have you noticed other things changing?
Well, I mean, the last 4 years have been kind of not great for trans people as a whole. Our numbers are exponentially higher this year than they were in the past, and they've gradually gotten higher every year. Part of that's because of the reporting, and we're actually reporting more names here in the United States than we were previously. A lot of times transgender people were identified as their dead name, or the name they were, assigned at birth. And so, or they weren't identified as trans to begin with at all. So the crimes that were committed against them weren't identified as trans crimes or trans hate crimes. So thankfully, they are starting to report those crimes and get that information out to people. The sad thing is that we now get to see numbers that are less skewed to to more along the lines of where we thought they were than where they actually ended up, were showing up before. It's a double-edged sword at that point. Obviously, I'm happy that people are doing the work and actually making sure trans people are recognized, but I'm seeing a list of, over 50 transgender individuals this year who lost their lives. It's brutal to watch. It's brutal to go through. Thankfully, we're all still here to celebrate them and honor them for who they are.
There's a good discussion in the chats right now, which really is to make a big impact, a great impact. We do need to seek justice, not just within the community, but at the legislative, federal, state, local, all across Arizona. We need everyone from the community to step up, and we need better legislation. We need people to stand up for what's right.
So I know some organizations in Arizona are really working hard to fight that. I've partnered with Quality Arizona before to speak to the legislature. But what things might people not know about? Like, what other efforts are in place, or what can people do at home to kind of bring justice to trans voices, to trans persons?
I personally think that it starts with the people you see every single day. It starts with who you work with. We all know someone in the community, and it really does start with just being, for me, a good ally and a good friend, just standing up for what I see and how I can use my voice to change. Sorry, my email just popped up, but I can use my voice personally to change everything around me and to stand up for what's right. I think it's about voicing what we all see. We have voices, we need to use them. And once we can build a community and form the community, we can change things at all levels. We can start with city, go into state government, start with building the community, and
So, kind of like building up the community, communicating the kind of stress, the strain and disparities that trans persons experience, because collectively we as a people like elect representatives, and knowing those who care about us and those who are aware is really important. Did I get all of that?
you're so eloquent with your words. Yes, you got all of that.
Um, and there are definitely many facets of the queer community. I love the discussion that's happening in the chat, by the way. Y'all keep it up. There's somebody who says that to make a great impact on the rise in hate crimes, to seek justice for these individuals, we need to change at our legislative. I'm so eloquent, but I can't say words. Legislative, federal, state, and city levels. Yes. For those of you out there who are saying vote, please also vote in local elections. Things like having persons get access to surgery through Access, Arizona Healthcare Cost Containment System, happens at the federal level. Whether or not we become sanctuary cities happens at like city levels. And Aaron could probably speak more to that. There are definitely different facets of the queer community that have different levels of violence and intersect with politics in different places. Aaron, what work can you do at Trans Queer Pueblo around TDOR, around trans lives, and bringing this awareness?
Buenas noches, good evening, everyone. My name is Aaron, him, his, and I'm here representing documented migrant trans community. And I coordinated the Health Justice Project. We have a free clinic, and in this free clinic, I actually started my transitioning. I don't think if I wouldn't find a free clinic that would not have asked me for documentations, any status, I don't think I will be here right now, especially as trans, so yeah, I coordinated the Health Justice Project, and tonight, as Trans Queer Pueblo, we're here to invite everyone in the community, everyone in Arizona, to be part of a different vision. Building in a city without borders, closing the deadly detention centers that has our trans communities, especially that can be put in cells with men or women, that you really don't identify as your gender, um, removing laws that criminalize our people who engage in sex service, um, building access to healthcare for all, right? What is healthcare for all? Because we as documented and migrants folks are really, there's, if I can just say, no help or just less help at all. So we want to build a city to transform by the power of trans and non-binary people of color, where Black Lives Matters, to defund the police, to abolish state violence. And if you want to build a world that reflects you, join us, please. You can find us at Transqueer Pueblo and on all platforms. And I'm here also, and I'm really proud of all and everyone. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, Aaron. I think we first met when we did the Gender Expansive Expo, right? Yeah. So about a year ago, back when we were all around, allowed to touch each other, we did the first Phoenix's First Gender Expo. And one of the things I really cherished about Iran is that he challenged me a lot about the intersectionalities of being queer and trans. And when we were putting this together, we wanted to make a bilingual track. And it became very clear that white trans folk have different experiences than brown and black trans folk, particularly those who speak Spanish. And the tracks changed in their meaning. From what I remember, the Spanish track was definitely more about those discriminatory laws, the manifestation law, where like you're doing innocuous acts and you can get arrested for sex work, where you can't defend yourself in court because you can't understand what the judge is saying, where you can't find a doctor because you can't communicate what's happening. And here I am struggling because my health insurance wouldn't pay for top surgery, and that's a struggle in and of itself. But I never would have imagined kind of that level of disparity. That was blind to me because I was privileged in that way. And I love the work that Trans Queer Pueblo is doing, particularly for undocumented persons, and pairing with Piecework Medical to make sure they have access to hormones and things. I saw in the chat that somebody had asked that, like, what resources and groups are available in town. So we have Trans Queer Pueblo, of course, and Equality Arizona for more legislative things. And Trans Spectrum Arizona, I think, is one of the largest peer-to-peer support groups in the Southwest. Like, right, Kendra? With how many members? 500?
We're actually the largest. Not trying not. No, so seriously though, we are the largest peer-to-peer organization for transgender peer-to-peer contact. Our ideals for the organization is to keep the family unit together, however that unit is, however that unit looks, whether you be parents, siblings, significant others, multi people, families, whatever the case may be. We're keeping that unit together because we realize that it's not just our transition, it's everyone around us transition as well. We've had our entire lives to deal with our transition. We've had our entire lives to plan out, and get to the point where we are in our lives. A lot of people around us had no clue that we were transitioning or had no clue that we needed to transition. And so when we tell them that, like right now, for me personally, I thought everyone knew I was blowing it. Everyone had, figured out that I was hiding the fact that I was trans. And honestly, no one had a freaking clue. No one had any idea that I was the person that I wasn't the person that I needed to be. And when I came out, I surprised everybody. And, thankfully with our software groups, my wife was able to talk to people who were going through similar experiences and was able to move forward with that and start her transition and understand that, make our relationship work beyond what it was previously.
And y'all have given back in spades, FYI. It's no small task leading such a large support group, let alone a diverse one. I've gone to a couple of trans spectrum meetings. It's a little awkward when you're like a social worker being there and you're helping some of the clients. Like, you can decompress without my face there. But the kind of atmosphere you create where it's okay to learn and grow, no matter if you're trans or cis, is something that's particularly rare. And I think it's reflective of what we need to do on these days of TDOR, where we need to make space for everybody to be genuinely themselves and everybody to kind of catch up to that. And one of the things I've seen over the last 5 years and even over the last 10 years since I've transitioned is that we are definitely more at the forefront. There's more space for us. There's like, apart from like beautiful trans actresses getting looked over at the Emmy Awards, yet still quoting Langston Hughes like a boss, there's so much visibility, and now it seems like the world is trying to figure out how do we provide support and how do we work together. In the comments, I don't think he minds me giving a shout out. Teddy Michael, who is one of Phoenix's own, he has since moved to Albuquerque to run the New Mexico Trans Resource Center. Gave this for cis people watching. He said to start small, introduce yourself by your pronouns, use the right name, try to build empathy. And then he said, move bigger. And one of the things I deeply appreciate about Teddy is that he doesn't mince words. He's like, donate to trans organizations, particularly those by Black and brown people, which I think is a good shameless plug right now. For Aaron, do you want to tell us about your Radical Wellbeing Fund?
Yeah, thank you. So when this pandemic hit, we knew that, I mean, everybody was going to be hit harsh, right? But we knew that undocumented and our LGBT community was going to, just hit that wall. So we were like, what do we do? So we started fundraising, and um, we built the Radical Wellbeing Fund, which it's based on and a quote that we just came up with is called "We're more powerful than needy," right? So we started getting funds, and we have been able to, even myself, I don't think if I would have been Transport Pueblo, I would probably just be worrying about how do I pay my rent, how would I pay my bills. So we started putting together this fund, and we have been able to help our LGBT migrants to pay the rents, to not be homeless, to get like a $200 gift card to pay the essentials, right? So which is like rent, utilities, food. So tonight I ask everyone, if you are kind to just donate or just even share this Radical Wellbeing Fund. It's gonna really help to keep on supporting this. That it was 3 months ago, but it's still gonna continue, and I think it's really hitting hard. So this is really gonna help us together, supporting resources for our LGBT migrants in this pandemic. So just please donate if you can, and if you can, just share it with your loves, your family, or other organizations. And I will put the link in the chat.
Nice.
Thank you.
For those out there, like Trans Queer Pueblo does amazing work for persons sometimes who can't get any help elsewhere. When I can't help clients, and I've helped hundreds of trans persons, but I'm limited in a lot of ways. I don't understand immigration laws very much. I'm trying to learn. I don't speak English. I'm trying to learn. And Trans has been an amazing partner to so many different aspects of the community. It looks like some people are looking for the link in the comments section, so if you want to post it there, hopefully we can get some dollars to help some people. And they're selling t-shirts,
Thank
which
you so much.
are awesome.
Yes, I will put both of the links. Yes.
I still see the chat stream coming, so if those of you who are engaging from home have questions about TDOR, I see a lot of affirmations about what we need to do to support the community. But if you want to share some of the things you're doing, or some of the questions you had, or what you need as a trans person, you have 4 leaders right here on screen who are ready to help you.
Real quick too, I do think that a lot of this does start with just basic education that begins early on in school. Even with high school clubs like GSA, I remember at my high school was amazing, and just from that community, it built. And people like myself who didn't really know much about the LGBT community until high school and then college, those classes and people you meet, you really just need to open up conversation. And especially being an ally, you need to learn some things on how to have a conversation with someone and be respectful. But also, once you hit that point and you get to that point where you're able to find out what you can do to support them, it does just take off from there, because then you want to be more involved with legislation, and you want to be at donating and getting people elected that really do stand for equality of everyone, all people, intersectionality, everything. It's just community building. It's amazing.
And I think like education is definitely an important point, because not only does it help like trans persons, but I think it helps cisgender persons or persons in the majority. Let's think of like the king of privilege, white heterosexual cisgender guys. We're not calling you out, but I think you need to realize, folks, that if you're not trans, transphobia affects you too. This rigid gender binary system that we're in is kind of horrible for all of us. If you've ever been called out on the playground for being a sissy, you've experienced something we have. And I think that education piece allows us to build bridges of empathy that would otherwise not be there. And when I look at all the persons we've lost this year, particularly like trans women of color, understanding that the intersections of racism and misogyny and transphobia are compounded not only into a trans body and experience and the kind of person she was to fight against the world to be herself, and how much it would have helped her to see someone like her. But I also think of the person who did that to her, usually men. What a broken person that somebody must be inside. Be so fearful, so panicked. We can do better for our world, and we start with education.
I completely agree with that. And the chat still has some amazing comments. A really good question that is from someone in the chat asks, when I speak in front of people, should I be saying my preferred pronouns? Would it make people in the trans community more comfortable? I'm a cisgender, queer, brown woman, and I can start with that. Yes.
Yes.
I would put it in, if you have social media, put it in your bio. It just shows everyone in the community that you are an ally, that you're part of the community. So yes, I would say go ahead and do it.
And they're your pronouns. They're not preferred. They're yours. Oh, that's a good suggestion from Sister Jareth, putting your work email signature. I do that, but I keep forgetting to tell people to do that. I lead by example, but I don't really tell people how to do it.
The chat just keeps, I can't find them all.
Bios and email signatures are a great place to start. Have y'all done any, y'all in the comments, or y'all in the tweet, done any work around this Trans Awareness Week or Trans Day of Remembrance? Like, have any of you, maybe watching for the first time around trans programming, learned something or have changed the way you approach life? Because while we're on the topic of education, like, we might as well see what all this learning this week has done.
Don't everybody answer at once? Yeah, so I mean that's something that could, honestly, for me, trans education isn't just 1 week. Trans education is a 24/7, 365 kind of thing for me. I make sure that I'm out and proud, and I wear it on myself on a daily basis because I want to make it so it's easier for the next trans person that has to deal with it. I try to use my white privilege. I try to use the fact that I have the ability to walk around as a trans woman without getting murdered because I'm trans more often than not, and because I have the means to not have to be a sex worker, to not have to be someone I can afford that fact, and so I wear that out and proud on a daily basis because it's important to make sure and to normalize trans awareness.
And it's like every day, every year, in every place. Trudy Jackson in the comments made a really good note that I want to read. One thing I would love to see in Trans Day of Remembrance is including sovereign tribal nations of individuals that identify as trans and two-spirit that have been victims to hate crimes. Individuals that reside off the Indian reservation, such as Jamie Wounded Arrow, received natural attention, but her hate crime took place in her tribal community. She would not have received the outpouring support. But if her hate crime took place in the tribal community, then Jamie would not have received the outpouring support. We're kind of blind to the actions of some things, and it's one of the things I love most about our community. And when we come together and have conversations like this, and I think Aaron, you can speak to this too, but Kendra and Alexis jump in. When we try to do something as a whole, it can be a little difficult because gender is pervasive among everything. And when you're defining this pervasive binary, we really have to take account all these intersectional systems. But really, I think that's a model for what we should be doing in the country. A lot of the horrible things that happened the last 4 years wouldn't have happened if somebody had had the empathy to look at all these different intersections. And shout out to Kimberly Crenshaw for putting a name to it. When we're looking at education and talking about different trans issues, and particularly related to TDOR and those victims there, what do you all see at these intersections? Like, what are your experiences with them? And this goes out to persons in the comments too.
I think one thought that I have, even with education, even though we consider ourselves an organization that, we have all colors and sizes and ages, but we are still struggling to get our youth, and we wanted to get involved in schools, right, in schools education, because we believe this is where we can be present at. It's just even by our name as Trans Pueblo, we have really had hit like the no from the schools just because it says trans. So that's what's really I was thinking about when you just said education. It's like just by even our name just being Trans Pueblo, it's like it's just the doors are just shut down in our faces.
Yeah, the kind of intersection of how society's sex phobia extends to the queer phobia, which makes it really difficult to just even talk to youth.
Yep.
Like, I might be different, but my body is not sexual. Well, it can be, but it's not inherently more sexual than a cisgender body. And be able to teach in schools. What are you going to say, Kendra?
I was going to say even, and there's cultural differences between different races as well. I mean, it becomes, as white people, we have the ability to function in areas that Iran and people of color don't have the ability to function, and so that's a huge problem in our country and a huge problem in the world and as a whole. But going in and culturally, I'm just speaking. I was raised in a Hispanic household, so I have some knowledge. But speaking from a Hispanic household, it's machismo and being able to, the fact that you can't show feminine traits as a man is a huge issue, and that's not something, as a society as a whole, we need to break that down and stop that from happening.
I think like a lot of people, when they think of transphobia, it's just like, oh, this is surrounding what it's like to transition from one gender to another, or it's like the kind of archetype that the media has instilled in us, and like the crying game and different things like that. But really, the phobias we face and the issues we face are surrounding these kind of pressures to conform to certain ideas and identities. And that's where we can, again, through this education, build empathy. So like the machismo, for instance, there's probably a lot of Latin persons out there, a lot of Latin men who have been called a sissy. Aron, you could probably supply me with a better word, but have been told that they're not man enough. And that's something I experience on the daily. And there are women out there who have been told that they're not women enough. Maybe they got a side shave, which, by the way, is the cutest look, and I will fight you on it. But why do we limit ourselves in these ways? And why does it have to be pink or blue? Why does it have to be strong or not? Why does one side get to take up space and the other one has to make themselves small? Last I checked, humans were a whole bunch of different shapes, sizes, and gender expressions.
Of course. People just don't. When they can't look at something and assume, or look at someone, a situation, anything, when they can't look at anything and know for sure what it is, it's confusing, and we need labels for things. Apparently, we can't just look at anything and think, oh, that's it. It is what it is. That's okay. I'll take it for what it is. We have to define something that isn't even definable.
And it's kind of something that isn't definable, but it's also what baffles me is that in so many different aspects and in so many different areas of our lives, we're allowed to be so many different things. But when it comes to seeing a non-binary person, it's like, well, pick one.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that most 19-year-olds are allowed to change their college major 5 times, but I can't question my gender once?
True, that's a good point. Another comment that's really great is fear of what's different from themselves scares them. That's so completely accurate. Thank you for the comment. Another question from the comments. What can we do to address bullying in elementary and middle school? My child was plagued with it for being gender nonconforming, and I was often punished for defending myself. How can we improve at school environments, especially early education? That's exactly welcome to this beautiful conversation. That's what we're looking to do. It does start at a young age. It starts with children. We need to have a better sex education that's medically accurate, that anyone can look at and know that it applies to anyone else. It's not just one way. It needs to be age appropriate and medically accurate information that starts at a young age. And also parents. I think parents.
I also think too, and Aron, like I see the gears turning, so if you want to speak, like let me know. Like when I think about making education environments safe in schools, it's like, well, yeah, what are you doing to do it at home? How are you setting up your kids with the skills to go to school and interact with different kids? Something that made me overjoyed is that now there are empathy and social interaction in some schools. And I think when it comes to the root of it, you have to set up the school environment to not only give the right information, but give the kids tools to talk about it, give the kids tools to communicate with one another. And a lot of that is the discussion. But it's also like going in with it of here's your toolbox, here's what you can do, let's have a discussion. And a lot of that might be policy. A lot of that might be different rules related to teachers. It might be working with the legislature again. This past year, we knocked down a piece of legislation that banned us from talking about non-heterosexual sex in any positive way. It was called No Promo Homo.
No.
Yep. So it's like, when I see that comment, I love it. Welcome to the conversation. And it's like, we have the information, we have to give it, but we also have to do it in such a way where from the top down, it can be presented and interpreted by the kids. Is that where you're getting at?
I'll add on to that a little bit. I mean, a lot of us know and have seen the numbers of where suicide rates go with transgender individuals, and it's exponentiated through our trans youth. If one person in that trans youth's life supports them, that number drops down to the standard levels of where cis youth is as well. So if just one person in that trans youth life supports them through their transition and identifies, lets them identify as who they are and actually help work through that process, it makes that child's life much easier. So continue to be the mother that you are, continue to do the work that you are and asking these questions. That's the important part of this. And we'll continue to do the work to make sure that the schools are educated and doing the way that we're supposed to be doing. That's what we're out here doing right now.
One of the things that I've kind of noticed in this pandemic a lot is, and it's kind of brought me hope, is that when everything hit the fan and when everybody was panicking and there was not a roll of toilet paper to be found, it's the very next thing I saw was, how are we going to stay connected? And I think that speaks a lot to our nature about how we are built to be together and we are built to collaborate. So when you are looking at yourself and what you can do for the trans community and overcome these problems, I think not just about yourself, but think about how you relate to the different systems around you. Think about how you can leverage yourself and your community to network with one another to make a collective change. I think the idea of kind of the individual is a false narrative, like the individual triumph. Like everybody's like yammering on and on about Steve Jobs and what's his face who started Facebook. But they're not really the heroes. It's the persons behind the scenes. It's the teams of people working to make things work for us. It was a whole bunch of drag queens and trans women of color who worked together against the cops on Pride. It was people all across the nation, from the Compton cafeteria riots to LA riots, who have pushed forward movements of pride and acceptance. It's been Black Lives Matter organizers that get together and push forward agendas that make it so that no matter your skin color, you are equal. That's not something one person can do. I feel like I'm going on a tirade, so Aaron, feel free to jump in. I think Alexis is grabbing her charger. Oh, we have a question. Are there any trans speakers in our school systems here in Arizona? Yes, invite us. 3, right here.
Yeah, please. Gladly. I have spoken at a few of the high schools here in the Valley for different programs and whatnot. One of the ones we did a few years back was we spoke to a choir, which had a few trans questioning individuals or people who were getting ready to transition, and they were concerned. As you may or may not hear, my voice is rather deep, and I like singing in this voice. It's fun to do, and I've been doing it for years, and I'm not going to stop doing it. And I'm a heavy baritone, and I want to continue to do that. And so, being able to give those trans people the ability to continue to sing or to work through that process was something we wanted to work through, and something we wanted to help with. So we did go in and speak with that. And I am definitely not the only one in my organization that goes out and speaks. We mentioned Joseph's organization a little bit ago with helping with TQP, and Joseph goes out and does a lot of speaking and he's the vice president of Trans Spectrum. So.
By the way, medical providers, network with Joseph. Please learn how to treat us trans folk. I don't want to have to keep teaching my doctor. Honestly, that's so cool that you can create a space for a non-gender normative voice in a choir. I wish I could just sing it all. Like my voice. Oh, thank you, Gabriella. My voice may be powerful, but it is not tuned. We'll put it that way. My poor husband. Something I keep noticing is that in the comments is that there's a lot of questions around fear, and I think we should probably speak a little bit to that. So there's definite fear of being a trans person, but that's less interesting to me. But we can talk about that, y'all. That's interesting to me, other than the fear we seem to cause in others.
I think that's double-edged. I mean, a lot of my fear was based off the fear I thought I would cause in others. So I think for me personally, I waited 28 years to transition. I was 38 years old when I transitioned, and I knew in my teens and early 20s that I was trans. At the time, I didn't have a name for it. The internet wasn't available. That's how old I am, and so when the internet did exist in my early 20s, that's when I really able to find my community through the internet, and live vicariously through them for a long time, and then finally get to the point where I had to transition on my own because I couldn't handle not transitioning. But to the fact of fear, I mean, I think for me personally, it was like what I was going to be doing to everyone around me. Not, it wasn't even so much my personal fear. It was, I'm not a small person. I can handle myself. I can get into a scrap and I'm fine. I'm not worried about it. And I know how to I've taken enough martial arts and fighting techniques to know how to handle myself. I'm not afraid to defend myself if I need to. That being said, I was afraid how other people were going to react to me. I'm, like I said, I'm not a small person. I'm over 300 pounds. I'm over 6 feet tall, and people.
And drop dead gorgeous.
Well, thank you. But I was afraid people were going to, react strange to me being walked around as a woman. Thankfully, that's not been the case, and I've been able to walk around as myself for the last 5 years and be happy about it.
We have some comments throwing some support your way, Kendra, about I was 35 when I started to transition, knew I was trans or more femme when I was 7 and 15. Ah, Alexis is back.
Oh my goodness. I didn't even know I was back. Sorry. Hi.
Okay. We kind of touched the commenters kept bringing up points about different fear, and Kendra was sharing stories. I don't know how much you heard backstage.
I heard all.
Oh, awesome. So, like, on that note of fear, one thing that always struck me, and I don't know how to say this without sugarcoating it, is that I think sometimes we trans folks strike fear into the heart of our cisgender siblings because they're afraid of, honestly, they're afraid of what somebody who embraces themselves looks like. So the gift of working with the trans community, so working with individuals one-on-one, or going to Trans Queer Public Support Group, or seeing like events where Equality Arizona is out trying to get the vote, or going to Trans Spectrum Arizona and somebody hears for the very first time a word that is them, that's powerful. Trans people, all of you out there and everybody in this room who's trans, like, we managed to look at this oppressive binary system and said no. And that's frightening to a lot of people. That self-assurance, that genuinity. And it's something that I wish y'all weren't afraid of and you embraced.
I wish I could give that gift to cis people or to everyone on the planet. That's, I mean, the one thing I've learned through the trans community and through other people who live under the spectrum is the fact that I've never met a weak trans person in any way, shape, or form. And so to be able to find that within themselves, to actually work through that, and be able to live that life that they need to live, and be able to give that to everyone on the planet would be awesome.
I completely agree with that. And feel free, everybody, if you have resources. I love seeing how many people have commented them or just stories. I just comment them, please. It's awesome.
And I just heard backstage from our tech support, Jean. By the way, shout out to Jean for handling this with such grace. It's not easy when plans blow up in your face. And to keep going and pushing is by no means an easy task. So, like, round of applause for Jean. Yeah. Oh, somebody's asking Kendra, what is your final form?
Have to wait and see.
Nice. I love that.
Aram, you've been a little quiet. What are you thinking over there? You've always got this like look of intense.
Yeah, I just want to tell someone out there that I know it's listening and that needs this message that I probably needed when I was a young little person. That I always question, why am I here? Why do I feel this? And I always struggle with like an internal war inside of my identity. But then at the same time, growing up in the United States and being undocumented, it was like two words at the same time, right? So it was two two struggles to being afraid of, and like this, like we were talking about, we all, it's, I think it was more of the fear to cause fear on my mother, to cause fear on my sisters. But I also, I don't consider anyone transitioning late. I just consider it's our path to transitioning whatever, whenever it's that time, the right time to be yourself. And I mean, I wish we all could have just be able to just be born and be like, this is who I am, right? So right now I'm 37, and it's been 3 years that I started my transition, but I believe that we have always been transitioning, right? And the transition is could be enormous ways, and however you want to make your transitioning, and doesn't has to be with hormones, I think there's a lot of stigma on that, right? Just if there's a lot of if you're trans, oh, you have to take hormones, just make it your own adventure, just make it your own. But where I wanted to go, it's like, if you're out there, just don't give up. You've been loved, and don't be afraid. Love yourself. This is who you are. Um, yeah, just please speak to anyone that you trust. And if anyone, or si quieres hablas español y quieres hablar con alguien, puedes hablar conmigo. There's always someone over there that is really gonna like listen to you. Don't be afraid of being yourself. Don't give up. Thank you.
How do you follow a mic drop like that?
Well,
You don't. I think you said the kind of like the spirit of Trans Day of Remembrance is that amidst the grief, amidst the mourning, amidst everything that's weighing heavily on our souls, and even more now. I mean, the election, COVID, more COVID. We're here. And I personally think that I'm not allowed to quit. And I hope that y'all are with me on that. Somebody's thanking us for holding space and sharing. And there's a lot of resource sharing in the comments. So like something that I think is an extension of that, of like, don't give up, is, and they're reaching out to people. It can be hard when you're different to trust somebody. Especially if you don't know if they're different like you. I mean, we've got all these codes and ways of identifying each other, but when you're new to the community or you're new to finding yourself, it's like connecting with that first person, like Kendra said earlier, it can be the world of difference. So as we kind of go forth on this night of remembrance, maybe that should be our take-home message, is we need to find each other and support each other. We need to be there for each other, and we need to not give up on ourselves and on each other. There are some people in the comments getting misty. I didn't make me, like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you cry. We got an update from Jean behind the scenes. Again, awesome job to Jean, keeping their amazing work. They are rendering the video as we speak. I know that this has been a little bit of a long interruption, but I hope y'all will stick around for Tidor, the video, the speakers we have coming, and the reading of the names.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I want to make sure that people understand we did try to make this as multicultural and multiracial as possible, and so we're sorry there's a lot of white faces on your screen right now. That was not our intent. We were trying to go behind the scenes and give the voices to the people who needed to have it, and so. Yeah.
White or white passing. Don't want to assume anyone, and I have an accent.
Exactly.
Really.
I'm sorry. I didn't. My statement was very assuming, and I'm sorry.
It's okay. Like, I'm white like vanilla ice cream. My family's just back to an island called Ireland. That's it. Somebody commented, oh, it's Abby. Today is Trans Day of Remembrance. Tomorrow begins the year of trans resilience.
Abby is also one of our board members for Trans Spectrum, and he actually put together TDOR 2 years ago now, and so when we did our TDOR event, and the last event we did on the Capitol was put together by Abby. So, and he helped organize and get a lot more of the organizations in here in the Valley to the event, and so big props to him for doing so.
Plus, Abby's been keeping it together as a board member during COVID, and he's a special ed teacher, right?
Very much so, and he right in the middle of COVID with all the with special needs kids who don't understand they have to wear a mask and don't understand that hand sanitizing and doing that kind of stuff is a big issue. So
I'm just thankful for you all right now, everybody in the comments, everybody on screen. When I first came to Phoenix, I was up in Flagstaff, and I was like one of 3 trans people I knew who didn't hate me. There's a lot of infighting that happens in this month, and when I came down to Phoenix, like everybody was there with open arms. I think one of my first weekends down here, I went to a DSAS facilitator training and met everyone on the board for TDOR. And then my first month down here, I went to Trans Pueblo with who is part Yaqui and part Mexican, and y'all taught him some of the history that had been erased, and I can't begin to understand how much that must have meant to him. And everywhere I go in the community, it seems to be everybody is open with grace. I ran an idea past Michael Soto, the president of Equality Arizona, and he's just like, let's do it. COVID happened. But, and then when we reached out, Kendra and I, to everybody on the committee to form the committee, so all the persons we can think of across the community who work with trans persons and want to be involved in TDOR, my first expectation is that everybody would say no. I mean, we were going into the election. We had been on lockdown since March. Many of us are in social work and working to help people pay rent, pay utilities. Again, everybody remember the Radical Wellbeing Fund for Trans Pueblo? I didn't think anybody would have any extra bandwidth to give. And y'all stepped up. Like, Kendra, were you expecting to get that many people on the committee?
No, I was definitely not. I was definitely expecting us to have to do all the heavy lifting, as is custom with something like this, and we didn't. And honestly, I dropped the ball a lot of times with it because I had life things happening in the middle of it. And so the fact that Jean was able to put together this video package the way she was, and everyone stepped up and did the work that they did, I totally, thank you all for putting the work in. There's a comment in the chat that I want to bring up. It's important to bring up the awareness around the stigma. A lot of trans women that were killed were sex workers, addicts, and living a life that's not the norm. That's still honestly one of the reasons that I continue to do this and continue to carry the quote unquote burden of being a trans woman, making sure that shining the light on the people who do get to have who don't have the lifestyle that I have and need to do things, whatever means necessary to keep a roof over their head, keep food in their belly, and keep their hormones in their body at that point. Whatever, I think it's very important that we decriminalize, sexual acts. I think it's very important that, we, honestly, I'm going to say, defund a lot of what the police department is doing at this point. I mean, I think that making sure that it's important to work through those things. And that's me speaking as Kendra, not as the president of Trans Spectrum. I try to keep that separate because the president of Trans Spectrum tries to keep a lot of the be apolitical, but it's important to make sure that we have the voices being heard, and Aaron doing what TQP does. I'm applaud you, sir. Thank you. So please keep doing what you're doing, and if I can ever help, please ask.
Thank you so much. We will ask.
We're all going to be in contact for sure.
And for persons at home who, if you happen to wander your way onto this live stream and don't really know what about or why you should care about sex workers or why you should care about persons on the margins, one, you have them to thank for most of your culture. You're welcome. If you ever said throwing shade or things like that, you have the ballrooms to thank in New York. And then two, I think you need to, when you're passing judgment, really check whether or not you're viewing those people as people. Because, and if you're struggling with this, get up close. Go volunteer at a local immigration center. Go volunteer at a housing services area. Volunteer at social work support areas. Like do things in the background, but also try to interact with different people. Because once you realize that we're not just images on screen, once you realize that we're not just martyrs in the news, it becomes really hard to ignore us. And I think, Kendra, you exude the empathy it takes to carry this work on. Because if you wanted, you can remove yourself from that. I mean, you're a businesswoman now. Kendra's starting your own small business. But you don't. You choose to be out and proud. And you do it in an intersection that can be pretty dangerous. And for all the trans people out there who do choose to be out and proud, like, bravo, especially if you can pass through this world as cis-assumed. Oh, I got some thank yous, some claps, some comments of this is such a tight-knit community. Support small local trans queer businesses. Like buying t-shirts from Trans Queer Pueblo. And Kendra, do you have a name for your business?
We do. It's Primal Designs and Repairs. We're doing pretty much. So we started as a woodworking, and my partner is over 10-year. He's been doing mechanics for over 10 years. He's been trained at UTI, and so he does mobile repair, and now he does it at the shop at our shop. We also do woodworking. We just finished a catio, which is an enclosed patio for cats. So that was a fun project. It scratched the crap out of my arms, which was what I was doing one of the days when we were supposed to be meeting. The sun was going down, and I was trying to get that project finished. I did not want to go back another day. I was just trying to get it done, and I just could not. There was not enough hours in that day for me.
A comment that I have to share from Teddy Michael. Teddy, by the way, we miss you. When are you coming back to Phoenix? I know you love New Mexico. If you identify within the LGBTQ centrums, you have a trans feminine person to thank for the freedoms you have, period.
Drag for everything. The way the makeup, everything, lashes. Yeah. Yep.
I think there's something to be said that persons who can't hide have to fight. And it's a lot easier to continue the fight when you're not throwing the first brick. Okay. We got an update from Jean that they would like to try streaming the video. Okay. So, any last thoughts from everybody on screen?
Thank you all for tuning in. And I realized that this was an impromptu discussion, and it wasn't something that we planned on doing. But thank you all for holding with us, and I appreciate all your time and effort.
Same here. Thank you, everyone that shared the link. Anybody that donated, please keep on sharing. And thank you so much. Buenas noches.
And I appreciate the space. You all, everyone, comments. Just let's keep it a tight-knit community, and let's keep showing up for each other.
Awesome. Thank you all on screen, everybody backstage, and thank you for being a part of my life and working with me on this day. To everybody at home, we're going to try again. If it doesn't go the way we plan, we'll upload it tomorrow. But if it does go the way we plan, I want you to remember this discussion and some of the points that came from it. We really need to start with education, and we need to build communities and collaborate together to make lives better for not just trans folk, but for all of us. Think about the persons at the intersections, sex workers, persons of color, those who exist at the cross sections of racism and misogyny. And realize that we're all human and deserve a place on this earth. When you feel afraid because of how genuine we are, don't join us. And with that, Jean, I think you're back here. Are we ready to go? Everybody's giving us a fingers crossed. Good night.
Greetings. This is Pastor LaDonna Cox of the Conscious Center right here in Phoenix, Arizona. I am so proud today to be among those of us who are commemorating all the trans lives that have been lost. All the trans lives that were a literal sacrifice in order to stand and say, we are proud. We will never take a back seat and become second-class citizens to those that do not believe that all lives are worthy. We celebrate you today. We celebrate every transgender life that has made a sacrifice by standing in this world and saying, we are important, we matter, and we deserve equal rights. Today we stand on your shoulders and we will not take down. We'll continue in your honor to march, to walk, to stand, to sit peacefully and say, trans life matter, and we deserve equal rights. We deserve to live, we deserve to stand, and we deserve to be proud. We honor you, and we will never forget your sacrifice. Namaste.
Hi everyone. My name is Eva Steele, Program Manager for Phoenix Pride, or you may know me from the stage as Eva Angelica Stratton.
Hola a todos, todas, todex. Mi nombre es Italia Miranda.
Hi there, my name is Eddie Broadway, and I am Mr. Trans USA 2020, and I am extremely humbled to be talking about the Transgender Day of Remembrance this year.
My name is Zakia McKenzie, and I am from Richmond, Virginia, and I am the Executive Director and Founder of Nations Foundation.
Hello, my name is Tammy Stoss, and I am the President of Arizona Trans Youth and Parent Organization. I'm an advocate, an ally, and a mother.
My name is Michael. I am a 34-year-old Black queer man of transgender experience.
My name is Kimberly Zaya Jordan. I'm a member of Kappa Iota Sigma Sorority Incorporated.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jericho Galindo. I use he, him pronouns. I wanted to say thank you to everyone that contributed to putting on tonight's event. It is amazing to still be together virtually, even though we can't be physically.
Tonight we come together virtually to remember those that were brutally taken away from us way too early, as well as the lives that we've lost this past year to COVID-19. My heart is with all of their families.
Hello, I am Sister Opalese, Mistress of Blessings for the Grand Canyon Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, as well as Preceptor of Perpetual Indulgence for Reign 15, the Imperial Court of Arizona. I am here tonight to give a blessing for this wonderful event. Friends, family, community, we are gathered virtually, given these times, to give remembrance to those lost. As we continue to lose, we must continue to remember those that we lost previously. Sadness and despair, these words can haunt us. Instead, let us remember and honor those that are gone too soon. While gathered virtually, we are together. Especially during these times, we must hold together, care for each other, and make sure that we endure and make it through. Blessings to those lost, blessings to those attending tonight, blessings to those who could not join us. With these words, blessed be.
TDOR exists because of transphobia, intense hate for transgender individuals. And the fact of the matter is that yes, it exists worldwide, but it also exists within our own LGBTQIA plus communities. We ask ourselves, what can we do? First, we can educate ourselves, educate those around us, and therefore educate our communities. We can stand up for each other, we can fight for each other, and we can respect each other.
Yo soy una mujer transgénero de origen mexicana. Yo salí huyendo de mi país en busca de un lugar seguro después de haber vivido violencia transfóbica en este. Llegué a los Estados Unidos y me encontré con la misma problemática de discriminación y racismo en contra de la comunidad. Yo viví discriminación en el empleo en contra de la identidad de género, al ser despedida tan solo por usar el baño de mujeres. Mi llegada a Trans Pueblo fue la plataforma para empoderarme al empaparme de politización y conocer mis derechos. Y no solo esto, ejercerlos, ganando en el año 2018 mi asilo político. Hoy día tengo el honor de invitarte a formar parte de la resistencia, por un mundo sin fronteras, por un mundo sin fobias, por un mundo sin racismo. Yo soy Italia Miranda, yo soy Trans Pueblo.
Many trans individuals live in fear every single day. Fear to live their lives authentically, fear to go out into society, fear that someone will hurt them. If you are like me, a white-presenting, biracial trans woman, use our privilege to fight for our brothers and sisters, to stand up, to protect them, and to tell the world enough is enough. You have taken way too many, and we will not tolerate this any longer.
Hello, my name is Marissa Tristan. I'm a community board member at the Grand Canyon Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. And today we're remembering beautiful butterflies that have been lost too soon. Harawas in Rohtas Fort, Tajalam, Punjab, Pakistan. Gabrieli Hills, Patrocinio do Muril in Brazil. Name unknown, San Mateo Capitulan, Pueblo, Mexico. Name unknown, 40, Bahapalo, Madhya Pradesh, India. Robertina dos Santos, 42, Itabuna, Bahia, Brazil. Name unknown, 56, Hus de Fora, Minas Gerais, Brazil. Name unknown, Malvani, Mumbai, Maharashtra, India. Harini, Warangal, Telangana, India. Brenda Barreto Rodriguez Kogi Etui. 22. From Campo Grande, Mato Grosso do Sul, Brazil. Paula, from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Barbara Clayton Silva do Nascimento, 33, Fortaleza, Ceará, Brazil. Demetrio Campos from São Paulo, Brazil. Agatha Lima Maria Agata Jeremias de Souza Lima from Ribeirão Preto, São Paulo, Brazil. Name unknown, Itabuna, Bahia, Brazil. Pilar Albarracin, 30, Chivilcoy, Buenos Aires, Argentina. Name unknown, 30, Tabute, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Carlota from Belo Horizonte, Managua, Nicaragua. Jennifer Leon, 33, Moscow, Russia. Cristian Sosa from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Vicky dos Santos, 22, Itu, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Alejandra Ortega, Alejandra Monocucu, 39, from Santa Fe, Bogota, Distro Capital, Colombia. Michael, Cancun, Quintana Roo, Mexico. Fernanda Antelo, Santa Cruz de la Sierra, Bolivia. Gran Polo, 48, Porto Velo, Rodonia, Brazil. Jade, from Porto Real do Colégio, Alagoas, Brazil. Kelia Nunez, from Bahia de Santa Rosa, Paraíba, Brazil. Luana Sosa, also known as Luana Kelly, 22, Camocim, Ceará, Brazil. Kelty Santos, from Salvador, Bahia, Brazil. Paulina Reis Sosa, 19, Anápolis, Goiás, Brazil. And Essie Granlund, 26, from Hakunila, Vanta, Uusimaa, Finland.
This date, every single time it comes up, it is such a somber date, but for me, it brings up so much gratitude. And I know that sounds a little strange, but for me, the gratitude is really felt by the energy that I take away from the event. We are continuously facing so much as a community. This year has been no exception. We've had an alarming amount of our trans siblings being taken away from us this year, and still somehow we continue to come together like this. That speaks volumes for our community. We consistently rise against oppression. and rise against all of the adversities that we face. We show people that when they attack us, when they try to take our rights away, when they try to silence us, we continue to rise up against that. That's the gratitude I feel. The gratitude I feel is that our community supports each other. Our community loves each other. Our community is diverse. And our community continues to say the names and continue the legacy of the people that have been taken away from us too soon. I feel so grateful that I am able to live my truth. I feel so grateful that I can come together with all of you and honor those that have been taken away from us. I feel gratitude that I can live my life authentically because of the pioneers that have gone before us. Tonight, feel grateful. Feel happy. Feel that gratitude of what this really means. Continue to say our siblings' names. Continue their legacy forward, and don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to reach out to people. And if you need any help, I'm here for you, and many organizations are here for you. I love y'all.
Sabrina Sampiano, Meninas Gurias, Brazil. Tabitha Oliveira Luis, Marinas Gurias, Brazil. Valeria Chelebrink, Russia. Nime Santos da Silvia, Campinas, San Pueblo, San Paulo. Oops, already. Okay. Naminam Santos Silvia, Campinas, San Paulo, Brazil. Katrina Ariel Silva, Parque de Carmo, São Paulo, Brazil. Mata Saramagar, Admin Bada, India. Name unknown, Natal, Rio Grande do Norte, Brazil. Rebecca Ann Becca, Longderry, East Lothiana, Scotland, United Kingdom. Isabel Oliveira, Augustin Polis, Tucactin, Brazil. Monkey Charas Massaro Verhara, Syria, Brazil. Name unknown, Rome Lorizzo, Italy. Bura Carla Sousa, Combio, Santa Clarina, Brazil. Richely Sylvia, Sierra Mia, Rio Grande do Norte, Brazil. Samantha European Michoacan, Mexico. Chiquitas Soda Rufino, Villa Vasquez, Monte Cristi, Dominican Republic. Gabriele Vandergool, Imperuna de Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Gabby Anápolis, Garcia, Brazil. Jessica Sarmiento Bois de Boulogne, Paris, France. Bruna Andrea Olimpios, Santa Clarina, Brazil. Maria Eduarda Ares Diaz, Exulhara do Sul, Rio Grande do Sul, Brazil. Name unknown. Aguiar Minas Gerais, Brazil. Davila Duarte Forteles, Syria, Brazil. Alexis Negron Luciano Toa Baja, Puerto Rico. Carla H. Zamora Michoacana, Mexico. Ali Manaman Humani, Equirpia, Peru. Menu Gurugram, Haryana, India. Alexis Fuertes, Pandora. Bertram Marinas Garajas, Brazil. Lucia Sandoval Lumez, Huicha, Puerto Rico. Puerto Barraos, Isabel, Guatemala. Yampi Mendez Archo, Mocac, Puerto Rico. Patsy Andrea Delgado, Chihuahua, Mexico. Carla Sasha China Palomino, Ciudad del Buenos Aires, Argentina. S. Cornell Guardo, Emilian Zapata, Morso, Mexico. Jocelyn, Ciudad de Guatemala, Guatemala. Luisa Avila Henano, Burga Valdecusa, Colombia. F. E. Batista, Fortaleza, Syria, Brazil. Brenda Vengas Acupa, Brenda, San Juan de Lagancho, Lima, Peru. Samara Belo Horizonte, Mina Grisa, Brazil. Name unknown. Santo Antonio de Jesus Baja, Brazil. Name unknown. Santa Pilar do Campos, Sao Paulo, Brazil.
We celebrate this day to honor the lives of both trans and non-binary individuals who have lost their lives due to senseless violence and transphobia. Our community, especially trans women of color, Black and brown bodies, are disproportionately impacted by violence. This day is a day that we remember those lives, but it also should be a day that we should celebrate the resilience of our community. Our mere existence is an act of revolution, showing that we are here and that we will not be erased. So, as we celebrate this day, remembering the lives of those who we have lost this past year, let us also remember those who are still here, strong, battling, resilient, and showing an act of revolution of our existence. Please stay safe, social distance, wash your hands, but most importantly, love each other, laugh more, and live out loud, bold, and proud. Greetings and love from Richmond, Virginia. Again, I am Zakiya McKenzie, the Executive Director of Nations Foundation. Have a blessed day.
Fernanda Suarez, Boa Esperança, Minas Gerais, Brazil. Paloma, Feira de Santana, Barra, Brazil. Ludmila Silva, Fortaleza, Ceará, Brazil. Bridget, Teresia Morales, Mexico. Alice Garrafa, Americana, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Rocio Aileen Samaniago, Carupa Misiones, Argentina. Vanessa Solorzano, Rotolo, San Miguel, Tucumán, Argentina. Barbara Ellen Contagim, Minqueiras, Brazil. Isabella Bulusi Bella, Manchester, United Kingdom. Francesca Galatro, Valle della Lucana, Salerno, Italy. Paya Kamoko, Punjab, Pakistan. Emily Taylor, Fronteira, Minqueiras, Brazil. Judy Torres, Guadalajara, Mexico. Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico. Patricia Duman, Santa Marta, Magdalena, Colombia. Daniel Rodriguez, Caratos, Ceará, Brazil. Samantha Rosales Barrios, Sam, Adelixo, Puebla, Mexico. Cladina Leta, Caninde de São Francisco, Sergipe, Brazil. Anushka Palyayam Kotai, Tirunelveli, Tamil Nadu, India. Bhavani Palayama Kotai, Tirunelveli, Tamil Nadu, India. Gul Pandira, Peshawar, Kibir, Pakundara, Pakistan. Melody, Huahuanpan de Leon, Huaxa, Mexico. B.E. Alvarez Hernandez, Copacabana, Antioquia, Colombia. Zieda Swati Kabir, Pakurakan, Pakistan. Sibel Rodriguez de Sousa, Mem, Sobral, Sierra, Brazil. Susana Ciardo, Anton, Oviedo, Principado de Asturias, Spain. Jordela Santanos, Marciano, Algoas, Brazil. Leslie Alejandra Fiartis, Leslie Roca, Ciudad Juárez, Chihuahua, Mexico. Ekta Joshi, New Delhi, India. Giovanna Perez, Maruru, Maranhão, Brazil. Caitlin Avieles, Bacolod, Negros Occidental, Philippines.
As the mother of a trans son, this day has always been very difficult for me. As the names are read, I feel the pain that every mother who has ever lost a child felt. And I can't help but get angry and think that my child could also be a victim of violence just for existing. That someday his name could be among those read aloud. I refuse to perpetrate the idea that trans people can only be visible in tragedy. When we only acknowledge trans lives and their ending, when we only see trans experiences through the lens of sorrow, we do not see their humanity. As important as it is to remember those we've lost, we need to equally cherish people who are still with us. To stop needless death, we need to make space for trans people to live. I know we can shift trans narratives away from sorrow to humanity and joy. A decade ago, when my son came out as transgender, my husband and I chose to support him. As parents, our duty is to love our child. In our family, love is a verb. Throughout his transition, we were there. Our love pushed us to learn more and to teach others. Through education and advocacy, my son grew into a happy, healthy, loving man. He is brave and strong, and most of all, he's genuine. With love, he had space to live authentically, visibly as himself, and I am so proud of him. Our path is clear. Mourn, but do not let trans people die in vain. The 47 trans Americans we lost this year and the hundreds we lost across the world risked everything to be themselves. And as themselves, the trans community has made our world more just, more beautiful, more human. We owe them a better future, and we need to start building that future right here, right now. I recommend starting where my family began, where all families of AZ typo begin. Start with love. And remember, love is a verb. Love relentlessly, love fearlessly. Use love to push yourself to learn, to teach, to advocate, to fight. And when you're tired and when the list of names still stretches on and on, when no end appears in sight, look for your trans neighbors, your trans coworkers, your trans siblings, your trans children. See them live authentically, visibly as themselves. Love them. keep going. Thank you.
J. F. do Nascimento Martins in Baú, Paraba, Brazil. Marcela Bertonti, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Name unknown, age 22. And Medellin, Antioquia, Colombia. Leticia Perez. And Fortaleza, Sierra, Brazil. Sasha Santos Filo, age 25. And Aracaju, Sergipe, Brazil. Name unknown. And Elias, Bahia, Brazil. Name unknown. And Pirapora, Minas Gerais, Brazil. Anna Karen Velasco Castellan, 25, in Veracruz, Mexico. Julia, age 60, in Puebla, Mexico. Luana Alves. And Piaveta Mahe, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Leica Duberal, age 33, in Patos, Paraíba, Brazil. Penelope Diaz Ramirez, age 31, in Bayamon, Puerto Rico. Mafer Marbella Santos, age 28, in Amatishan, Guatemala. Paloma Salas Jimenez, age 33, in Barranquilla, Atlántico, Colombia. Name unknown. In Europan, Mahahuacan, Mexico. Name unknown. In Europan, Michoacan, Mexico. Letitia, age 18. In Maria Bonita, Cumanu do Norte, Pará, in Brazil. Ninel, age 28. In Tuxtepec, Oaxaca, Mexico. Leila Perez Sanchez, age 21, in Humacao, Puerto Rico. Serena Angelique Velasquez, age 32, in Humacao, Puerto Rico. Paris Maria Eduardo Correa Fernandez Anselmo, age 33, in Mahuaca, Minas Gerais, Brazil. Name unknown, in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Leto, in Ilhas Bahia, in Brazil. Natasha Ferreira Lobato, age 30. Francisco Morato, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Teresa del Castillo Diamante, age 20. In Cosalacaque, Veracruz, Mexico. Marianne Andrioli, in Osasco, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Jade De Jesus Santos, Ruby Ferreira, age 35, in Kamakari, Bahia, Brazil. Luz Carita Zuniga, age 23, in La Ceiba, Atlantica, in Honduras. Fernanda de Sousa Paiva, out of Sobradino, Bahia, Brazil. Fabia Oliveira de Silva, age 22, in San Domingos, Bahia, Brazil. Name unknown, age 30, in Acapulco, Guerrero, Mexico. Name unknown, in Sao Bernardo do Campo, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Nita Chaudhry, Musafargar, Punjab, Pakistan. Janine Huerta Lopez, Tijuana, Baja California, Mexico. Blanca Aldama Perez, age 37, in Antinga, Serra, Brazil. Tamara Denise Morales. Melody Barrera, age 27, and Guamalan Mendoza, Argentina, was shot. Thank you. And in memory of all those names I just read, may they rest in peace.
For me, Transgender Day of Remembrance is a few things. It is a day to mourn and grieve those that we've lost, whether they died in their beds of old age or they were taken from us far too soon. Transgender Day of Remembrance is a day to pay homage to those people who are no longer with us. So many don't get the homegoing services that they truly deserve. So Transgender Day of Remembrance is a way to do that. It's also a day to celebrate folks that are with us. Give people their flowers while they can smell them, is what my Nana would always say. So, Transgender Day of Remembrance is a day to celebrate those within our community that are doing great things, that are being an inspiration to others, and that are setting a great example of what it means to be a citizen of the world who just happens to be transgender. Trans Day of Remembrance is also a day for me to reaffirm my commitment to leadership within the transgender community. It is a day to reaffirm that I will be a leader, I will be visible, and I will take the time to continue educating myself and those around me on what it is to be a better ally, a better friend, a better partner, family member, and community member and community leader in regards to the transgender community. There are so many things it feels like are against us, from politicians to depictions of who we are in media and on film, to even folks in our own hometowns that say and do hurtful and nasty things. The life expectancy of a black trans woman is 35 years old. I'm 34. So things like this make it sometimes really difficult to accept reality. And it makes it feel like things are so much bleaker than they can be. If we all work together, whether you identify somewhere within the transgender spectrum or you are an active, bordering on active accomplice in justice for our people and for our community, it's so important to take days like Trans Day of Remembrance to heart, to really take a look at yourself and at those around you and ask, am I doing everything I can? Is there more that I can do? Can I learn more? Can I teach more? So those are all things that I use and all questions that I ask of myself on days like Trans Day of Remembrance. I'm very fortunate to be somebody who has 15 plus years at living as my authentic self, has an opportunity to work as myself, and has support of friends and family. There are so many others that aren't as fortunate. So it's my job to be that for them. It's my job to lift those people up. It's my job to be a voice for those that are oftentimes silenced, people that are black and brown, because our trans community does have an issue at times with race. We also have an issue with folks that quote unquote look too trans. So it's my job, and I urge and task all of you to make it your job to be an advocate and to be an active accomplice in justice for trans people by stepping up to be supportive, to amplify trans voices, to listen to trans people, and then to partner with trans people and trans organizations for not only Trans Day of Remembrance, but every day in the near and coming future. Thank y'all so much for listening, and enjoy the rest of the event.
I am Sister Ivana Noyu of the Grand Canyon Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. It is with sad heart that I share the following names of cherished lives that we lost this year. Tita Andrade Umania, La Leona Intapuaca La Union El Salvador. Eda Hansi, Mersin Lee, Turkey. Talita, Belo Horizonte, Minas Gerais, Brazil. Name unknown, Ciudad de Mexico, Mexico. Isadora, Belo Horizonte, Minas Gerais, Brazil. Ludmila Nascimento dos Santos, Alagoinhas, Bahia, Brazil. Stephanie Cardona Matias, Misco, Guatemala, Guatemala. Rebecca Arujo, Embu Guacu, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Valeria Bellum, Americana, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Name unknown, Chihuahua, Mexico. Viji, Bangalore, Karnataka, India. Rafhana Pimenta, Poco de Pedra, Arapiraca, Alagoas, Brazil. Brittany, Hermosillo, Sonora, Mexico. Paloma Piera do Nascimento, Caruaru, Pernambuco, Brazil. La Marquesa, Minatilan, Veracruz, Mexico. Kelly, Caruaru, Pernambuco, Brazil. Carla Camarena del Castillo, Valentina Ferrete, San Felipe, Guanajuato, Mexico. Daniela Salcida, Chihuahua, Mexico. Naomi Nicole Garcia, La Soñare, Ciudad de Mexico, Mexico. Vivian Maximian, Mirasol, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Name unknown, Caracica, Espirito Santo, Brazil. E. Grosu, Nazilia, Aydin, Turkey. Name unknown, El Zapato, Guerrero, Mexico. Luana Patty, Fortaleza, Serra, Brazil. Reisla Ferreira, Vitoria, Espirito Santo, Brazil. Name unknown, Chihuahua, Mexico. Fabiola Pereira Andrade, Hequi, Bahia, Brazil. Jennifer Diaz de Alcantara, Dorados, Mato Grosso do Sul, Brazil. Musa, Faisalabad, Punjab, Pakistan. Melanie Aguar, Santa Cruz do Sul, Rio Grande do Sul, Brazil. Emily Kaur, Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. Maria Rodriguez Lemas, Aquiles Cerdan, Chihuahua, Mexico. Chiara Duarte, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Catherine Rosemary Duval, San Salvador, Yopingo, El Salvador. Gabriela Cruz Pimentel, San Miguel, Lima, Peru.
We're just trying to live our lives without harm, just like anybody else. The killings must stop. I don't want to hear, oh, well, she was this or she was doing that. There's no reason for anybody to lose their lives at the simple hands of violence. Killing somebody, shooting somebody, stabbing somebody is all senseless. Just because you don't like who we are or what we are. We're human just like you. We bleed just like you. We breathe just like you. So please, stop the violence. Stop killing us. Let us live. Let us be. Let us walk. Let us talk. Let us all be free.
Name unknown. Villa de Alvarez, Colima, Mexico. Christy Conde Vasquez, El Salvador. Kendall, Bogota, Distrito Capital, Colombia. Name unknown. Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Andrea Neheli Alonso Ramirez, Iztapalapa, Ciudad de Mexico, Estado de Mexico, Mexico. Julie Berman, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Luciana Robledo, Buenos Aires, Argentina. Alice Nobrega, Patos Paraiba, Brazil. Eli Pimentel, Ituba, Para, Brazil. Guy Pereira, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Lucas Georgi, Jalpaseo, Paraiba, Brazil. Jennifer Avia Sumpala Burboja, Mazantenego, Suchipacases, Guatemala. Selena Peixoto, Diamando de Aguiar, Rio Grande do Sul, Brazil. Sapna Moradabad, Uttar Pradesh, India. Name unknown. Zacatelco, Tlaxcala, Mexico. Palak Tawari, Indore, Madhya Pradesh, India. Mario Goncalves, Pau dos Ferros, Rio Grande do Norte, Brazil. Nare Mimpala, Parkmore, Sekgunkampen, Limpopo, South Africa. Andresa Henrique, Curitiba, Paraná, Brazil. Paula Prado, Fortaleza, Serra, Brazil. Vitoria Santos Silva, Jopatão dos Guarapes, Pernambuco, Brazil. Brenda Ledezuri, Los Marites, Bogotá, Colombia. Lucas Alcala de Godera, Seville, Spain. Mari de Bastos Lima, Santo Antonio de Levar, Mato Grosso, Brazil. Hans Acevedo, Zona 6, Guatemala City, Guatemala. Giselle Katrine Sarah, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Name unknown, Recife, Pernambuco, Brazil. Jusara Pires de Silva, Jusara Rios, Curitiba, Paraná, Brazil. Name unknown, João, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Paulina Espindola Lopez, Diopatolis, Mato Grosso do Sul, Brazil. Tamra Katamzirkanov, Kirovsky District, Leningrad Oblast, Russia. Name unknown, Maracaibo, Zulia, Venezuela.
Hello, loves. I'm Sister Addie from the Grand Canyon Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. My first name is Hinata Baldadez from Aparecida de Goya, Brazil. Anali Valenzuela from Fortune, Veracruz, Mexico. Fernanda Mancado de Silva from Rio Branco, Acre, Brazil. Lady Gaga from Recife, Pernambuco, Brazil. Marceli Silva from Cruzeiro, São Paulo, Brazil. Antonella Shelton from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Elaine Catalina from Medellin, Antioquia, Colombia. Dr. Igor Lima Poncino from Palma, Tocantins, Brazil. Tina Rodriguez from Fortaleza, Ceará, Brazil. Gabriela Reyes from Villete Mozo, Tabasco, Mexico. Bete Santos from São Bernardo de Campo, Brazil. Fernanda Selahinha from Pacayapata, Brazil. Veronica Ferreira da Lima from La Grima, Para, Brazil. Vida Borges de Mello from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Yandra Carana Santos from San Amaro de Pacifico, Baja, Brazil. Mateo Lopez from Sida Casa, Quindío, Colombia. Unknown name from Salford, Greater Manchester, United Kingdom. Banish from Islamabad, Pakistan. Hilary Mendoya Perez from Ibaquí, Lima, Colombia. Unknown name from Medellin, Antioquia, Colombia.
Good afternoon and happy Trans Day of Remembrance. And maybe you're thinking, happy. I think it's a mixed bag. My name's Deanna Lewis. I use she and Z pronouns. I live in Tucson, Arizona. And the reason I say it's a mixed bag is there's a lot of sadness and a lot of mourning that goes along with all the trans folks that have passed, that have been murdered. And that's a big burden, a lot of grief that we carry. And I also think it's a tremendous time of opportunity because here we are and we're communing. And given, dare I say it, post-election results, we have so much to be excited for. And when I think of the opportunity to commune in this circle on 11/20/2020 and looking forward to 2021, our voices, I believe, are going to be heard louder. I believe that the folks that have always been there maybe have not been able to support us as much as they want to. I believe that they are going to step up, and I have seen firsthand the step up in my own community in Tucson, at the University of Arizona, at the College of Public Health where I work, and a college that I've been there for 10 years and have seen the work that they do. I think when we look at how we engage with one another and what's the best way, and in order for me to use my voice, I need a space in which I feel safe, in which I feel secure, in which I will be validated, my experience will be validated, in which I want to use the term exalted, actually. Not only my voice is heard, but exalted. When I think of the position of privilege I have as being in higher education at the University of Arizona and having multiple intersection as a cis woman of color, an educated woman of color, so these things of race and gender and queerness all intersect. And we know the health outcomes of these intersections and what it means. And it also gives me a platform for those of you, and we all identify together, to help bring and elevate your voices so that they can be heard, so that the resources that are needed for our community, so that every member of our community thrives, is really important. And in order to do that, we need to be able to communicate and use a language that we both understand. And I think that is compassion. And within compassion, we have different tools. And I would just like to share a particular tool that I use with my students, and it's nonviolent communication. And the first tenet, even if we take out nonviolent and we just think communication, the first tenet of all communication is to listen. And if I listen carefully, I can hear you. And when I can hear you, usually in there, I'll be able to identify with and relate with some piece of suffering, of human suffering, because we all suffer. And it's in that piece, that's my connection with you. And moving forward, I'm hopeful, I'm joyful for the opportunities, and incredibly appreciative that I had the few moments to share with you tonight. Thank you.
Name unknown. Puerto Vallarta, Jalisco, México. Maninja, Curitiba, Paraná, Brasil. L.S. Félix, Patos, Paraíba, Brasil. Paula Araujo, Teresina, Piauí, Brasil. Ronnie Goncalves, Jardim América, Goiânia, Brasil. Marcelino Soler Fernández, also known as Soledad Fernández. Zanja Pita Amambay, Paraguay. Michelle Alameda Caetano da Silva, Onaio dos Palmares, Alagoas, Brasil. La Diva, Guaduas, Cundinamarca, Colombia. Vidalia Molina Delgado, Mazatenango, Suchetepeques, Guatemala. Julia Holanda Ferreira, Sobral Cayera, Brasil. Hamza Hyderabad, Telangana, India. Deborah Carranza Hernández, San Pedro Sula Cortés, Honduras. Romanique Barbosa Malgajes, Curitiba, Paraná, Brasil. Lorena Vincente, Sao Paulo, Brasil. Michelle Pfeiffer, Sao Paulo, Brasil. Antonella Espinosa Mendoza, Guayaquil, Guayas, Ecuador. Lina Marcela Jiménez Granados, Bucaramanga, Santander, Colombia. Guayane Aires, also known as Cacao, Avere, Sao Paulo, Brasil. Ay Díaz de Silva, Petrolina, Pernambuco, Brasil. Name unknown. Ciudad Juárez, Chihuahua, México. Anahi Miranda Rivas, San Salvador, El Salvador. La Chico Chirinos, La Plata, Buenos Aires, Argentina. Edu, Liria, Valencia, España. Bruna, Salvador Bahía, Brasil. Bruna Saures, San Mateos, Espíritu Santo, Brasil. Paula Santos, Jequie, Bahía, Brasil. Name unknown. Jacona, Michoacán, México. Name unknown. Chihuahua, México. Name unknown. Juiz de Fora, Minas Gerais, Brasil. Jade Camila Díaz, Río Torola, Meanguera, El Salvador. Brigitte Mirón, La Gomera, Esquintla, Guatemala. Name unknown. Resende, Río de Janeiro, Brasil. Name unknown. Ciudad Juárez, Chihuahua, México. Name unknown. Marechal de Adoro, Alagoas, Brasil. Goche Umay, Istanbul, Turkey. Ariadna Ojeda, Santa Marta Magdalena, Colombia. Brandy Carolina Brown, Barranquilla, Atlántico, Colombia. Marcinha Choquena Bastos da Silva, Marica, Río de Janeiro, Brasil. Doctor María Elizabeth Montaño, Tres Marías, Morelos, México. Aisu Mamadli, Baku, Azerbaijan. M.R. Sanabria, Villanueva Cortés, Honduras. Babalu Domingos da Silva, Pacajus, Cayara, Brasil. Amanda Marfrey, Sao Paulo, Brasil. F. J. Brito, Teresina, Piauí, Brasil.
Eduardo Pinheiro, Alto Paseo, Lucca, Italy. Kimberly McRae, also known as Sabrina, Sydney, New South Wales, Australia. Angie Aguilera, Tarimbaro, Michoacán, Mexico. Bruna Rosa, also known as Bruna Barbie, Ipora, Goiás, Brazil. Name unknown. Frosinone, Lazio, Italy. Brigitte Michelle Alas Miranda, San Salvador, El Salvador. Rihita Bugil, Atwada, Manpur in Nepal. Ana Clara Lima, also known as Julia Labelle, Brasilia, Distrito Federal, Brazil. Fabiola Salvador Bahia, Brazil. Hilary Medina, also known as Christine Nieva Huila, Colombia. Leticia Pereira de Oliveira, Boa Vista, Roraima, Brazil. Morgana Claudia Ribeiro Parana, Santa Maria, Rio Grande do Sul, Brazil. Maya Haddad, Tel Aviv, Israel. Shakira Perez Mendez, Chilpancingo, Guerrero, Mexico. Name unknown. Robledo Medellin, Antigua, Colombia. F. Ilguin Soares, Campo Bom, Rio Grande do Sul, Brazil. Bruna Leis, also known as Bruna Tatuada, Natal, Rio Grande do Norte, Brazil. Name unknown. Gracia Nuevo León, Mexico. Liliana Rosenvert, San Francisco de Macorís, Duarte, Dominican Republic. Wadila Brenner Darak, Rolim Domora, Roraima, Brazil. Adriana Santana, Restinga, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Roberta Carvajal, La Plata, Buenos Aires, Argentina. Nicole San Cristobal de las Casas, Chiapas, Mexico. Isabel Kolst, Florianopolis, Santa Catarina, Brazil. Name unknown. Nuevo León, Mexico. Mesa Andrade, João Pessoa, Paraíba, Brazil. Samantha Doval, Florianopolis, Santa Catarina, Florianopolis, Santa Catarina, Brazil. Guadalupe, La Paz, Estado de México, México. Doret López Leal, Agricolandia, Piauí, Brazil. Joyce Berlin, Limoeiro, Pernambuco, Brazil. Angie Mimbella del Aguila, via El Salvador, Lima, Peru. Karev, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Reisa Umbaúba, Sergipe, Brasil. Sucia La Basura, Constantino, Barbosa, Campo Grande, Mato Grosso do Sul, Brazil. Elise Murphy Richards, Sheerness, Kent, United Kingdom.
First, let me say that it is an extreme honor for me to be speaking with you tonight. I consider myself quite young in the trans experience. I've only been transitioning publicly for about 4 or 5 years, and I do hold a set of privileges being cis-assumed, and I do want to recognize that. Even so, 4 or 5 years ago, I was still getting harassed. Something that I recognize now is that trans femmes, trans women, they face this every single day. Specifically, Black trans women. That this year has been extremely deadly for trans women of color, and that continues to rise every single year, as we can see. What my hope is that we no longer have to have this day. I don't want to have this day. But it is such a beautiful thing seeing each and every one of us come together. We are powerful, we are beautiful, we are resilient. Every single obstacle we can overcome with each other. I wanted to encourage any allies watching that you are a part in this. You can break transphobia. No other person has to be a statistic. It's up to us together. It's up to our allies. We all play a part. If there's a joke that you've laughed at, if there's pronouns that you've missed, if you've messed up on the name, as long as you're continuing to go forward, as long as you're continuing to educate yourself, be brave and courageous in those moments when your opinion is probably not going to be the norm. Each and every single one of us can do it. Again, my hope is that these small acts are going to break transphobia, save a life, and we can do this together.
Alejandra, Michoacan, Mexico. Bedita Alvias de Silva, San Paulo, Brazil. Daphne Cariente, Brazil. Cristela Yvita Corvelian, Argentina. Monica Rivera, Monica de la Torre, Veracruz, Mexico. Victoria Pineda, El Salvador. Jerica Riveras Ruiz, Bogota, Colombia. Hubert Aguirrento Melendez, La Papis, Valle de Colombia. Sarita Sudano del Silvia, Brazil. Coral, Mexico. Carol, Brazil. Rafaela de Salas, Brazil. Isabel Prado, Brazil. Mira Alvia, Quito, Ecuador. Name unknown. Oaxaca, Mexico. Rosa Canales, El Salvador. Name unknown. Oaxaca, Mexico. Catalina Rodriguez, Cata. Bogota, Colombia. Emilia Lundberg, Sweden. Marisol Caron Villacurlo, Italy. Nicole Pinto, Brazil. Myla Carrillo, Brazil. Marcel Brandia, São Paulo, Brazil. Veronica Olivares, Maye Lore, Rio Grande do Sul, Brazil. Name unknown, Brazil. Name unknown, Brazil. Lorana de Santos, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Armando Ventura, San Domenico, Dominican Republic. Barbie Macron, Brazil. Duna Yui, France. Brenda Sanchez, Argentina. Juliana Geraldo Diaz, Colombia. Raika Francia, Brazil. Mira, Indonesia. Name unknown, Brazil. Sandra Beatrice Rangel, Brazil. Princesa Cornejo, Argentina. Dana Niera, Philippines.
When I was a young boy, my father took me into the city to see a marching band. He said, son, when you grow up, would you be the savior of the broken, the beaten, and the damned? He said, will you defeat them, your demons, and all the non-believers, the plans that they have made? Because one day I'll leave you a phantom to lead you in summer to join the Black Parade. Sometimes I get the feeling she's watching over me, and other times I feel like I should go. And through it all, the rise and fall, the bodies in the streets. And when you're gone, we want you all to know we'll carry on, we'll carry on. And though you're dead and gone, believe me, your memory will carry on, will carry on. And in my heart I can't contain it, the anthem won't explain it. What that sends you reeling from decimated dreams. Your misery and hate will kill us all. So paint it black and take it back, and let's shout it loud and clear. Defiant to the end, we hear the call to carry on, we'll carry on. And though you're dead and gone, believe me, your memory will carry on, will carry on. And though you're broken and defeated, your weary widow marches on and on. We carry through the fear. Disappointed faces of your peers. Take a look at me, 'cause I could not care. I'll do or die, you'll never make me, because the world will never take my heart. You can try, you'll never break me. We want it all, we want to play this part. I won't explain or say I'm sorry, I'm not ashamed. I'm gonna show my scar, give a chair for all the broken. Listen here, because it's who we are. I'm just a man, I'm not a hero. I'm just a boy who had to sing this song. Just a man, I'm not a hero. I don't care. We'll carry on, we'll carry on. And though you're dead and gone, believe me, your memory will carry on, will carry on.